Competition Commission now starting its investigation into the fresh produce market in South Africa. In other words, it's looking at the prices of apples, tomatoes, potatoes, bananas and citrus fruits. Yesterday, Spar, Woolworths, Simba made presentations to the Commission. Sipho Ngwema is the spokesperson for the Competition Commission. Sipho, good afternoon to you. What exactly are you investigating?
Good afternoon, Steve, and thanks once again for having us on your program. What we are looking at if adverse effects that may affect competition in the fresh produce value chain, meaning that the fruit and veg value chain. We want to make sure we understand what drives the prices of those. But there are particular things that we are looking at. We are looking at the dynamics in the value chain as far as they affect the input and how that affects the producers, but also we want to understand the value chain with the emphasis on the fresh produce markets throughout the country. And the other part that we want to check is barriers to entry in this market. But we need to understand all those things and whether or not we can be able to understand in full exactly what's happening and why are people paying the prices that they are paying at the till.
So we know that food prices have been very high, and they've been really, food price inflation has been sort of twice normal inflation, around 11–12% for the last kind of 18 months. Is there any indication that what's happening with fresh produce, or fruit and vegetables, is due to market concentration?
Look, we have done a number of studies, and of course, in terms of our concentration study, we found a lot of concentration in agriculture in general. However, now we are specific in terms of some of the items that we have mentioned, particularly items that would make a huge part of our grocery lists. We want to understand whether or not some of the factors, global factors, but are there any issues unique to us that, as I said earlier, may have an impact in terms of competition, but also maybe drivers in the price? Are there any inefficiencies that we can be able to look at, which may result in some of the prices that we are paying? So we are doing that investigation, and we are pleased by the fact that stakeholders are coming forward in terms of the evidence, and at the end, that is going to assist us to make a determination in terms of what has to be done in terms of the features that are taking place there, and if there are issues that need added attention, and therefore we can be able to attend to those issues with all the stakeholders, with anyone who can be able to take action so that everything is stabilized. You must remember, this is very important, particularly from a food security point of view, but also in protecting the consumer and the poor in particular, because we need to make sure that the prices that we pay, we understand, and therefore those prices are justified. If they are not, we should be able to take urgent action as we have done before.
So, Sipho, it's quite a strange thing. I think anyone buying food in South Africa will have looked at the way that prices have gone up and said, this is crazy. Why are they going up so much? Unfortunately, and this is one of those terrible facts of life, if you'd been in most other parts of the world, inflation for food's actually been worse. You know, in Hungary it was 40% at one point. You've seen that in other places too. It would seem for various reasons. It may be that, I mean, no market is perfect, but it may be that our market's actually done a lot better than other markets.
Undoubtedly, of course, each case will have its own merits, and this is why we are looking at the merits of our own case in order to make sure that the prices that we see at the till are the prices that our consumers should be paying, given the inputs in terms of, given what it costs in terms of the inputs, the impact on the producers and the entire value chain. However, we have also been able to prosecute people who have inflated prices, taking advantage of a number of things. So we are aware of the drought in some areas, we are aware of certain diseases in some areas, but we need to understand what are those issues when it comes to our own market, which may need attention. If there are certain things that may result in the prices that we are paying, and those things are unjustified, and things that we can make recommendations that those things should be changed, we can be able to do that. If we are able to identify issues where action can be taken in order to reduce the burden on the consumer, then we should be able to do that. This is why we are investigating the entire value chain, so that we are much better at the end of the investigation in understanding exactly what are the drivers in terms of the prices that we see.
So, I mean, there's several supermarket chains that are pretty dominant. You've already heard from Spar, you've heard from Woolworths. I imagine you'll hear from Pick n Pay and ShopRite Checkers and the others as well. Are you speaking to all the chains about this?
We have invited all the stakeholders. In fact, we have interacted up to now about 39 that we have invited. A few that you have seen and the one that we have mentioned are the ones who have agreed to come and testify before us. If it means that we must subpoena others in the future, we'll be able to do that. But tomorrow will be the end of the first round of those interactions with the stakeholders. But we are hoping anyone and everyone who has got an interest in this will be able to come and explain to us the dynamics involved in the entire value chain, so that when we have to take decisions, we're able to take into account of all the evidence that we have found. This is the continuing investigation, probably until early next year, in order for us to be able to understand are there any inefficiencies, are there any things that are adverse in the value chain that we need to attend to, so that if they are, we're able to make those findings, we're able to make those recommendations, and we're able at the end of the day to afford the consumer better price and quality product at the till. So those are the things that we are looking at and are hoping to make progress, given the fact that a number of stakeholders have come and some have indicated they want to come in the future. So we are collating that data, we are collecting that evidence in order to be able to make those determinations.
Sipho, there are funny things that happen, you know, and markets can move in unexpected ways. And we learned during the pandemic, when we suddenly realized people were spending more money on food, that one of the reasons for that was that people often bought their fresh food, so the food that you're looking at here, from spaza shops, you know, on the way home. And there are thousands of them. Are you looking at that sector as well?
Certainly, as I said earlier, there's an emphasis on the fresh market produce. Must remember the hawkers and the informal market relies largely on the fresh produce markets throughout the country, and we're focusing on the major ones in order for us to be able to understand even there whether or not are there any issues that we should be concerned about from an efficiency point of view, from access point of view, so that those hawkers in which a number of our people depend on, and even them, those hawkers in terms of their livelihood, depend on selling those produce. So we need to make sure that the prices that are exposed to are better prices. There are no issues that distort, hinder, or even restrict competition with regards to fresh produce markets. But also there's a general access, issues of empowerment are taken care of, so that at the end of the day, particularly the majority, which is the poor, do have access to better prices and quality products that the market can offer in South Africa, particularly the informal market.
Sipho Ngwema, thank you very much indeed. Do appreciate it. Spokesperson for the Competition Commission. Well, interesting to see how that inquiry continues. To other